Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today I wanted to talk about potential sets that could be released in the fall of 2021 as far as UCS goes and Star Wars. So, the last 4 years, it's either been a Master Builder series or a rather more expensive UCS set. Obviously, this year we got the Mos Eisley Cantina, which I would consider a Master Builder series set. So, next year we can expect a rather expensive UCS set in the fall. And today I just wanted to go over a couple of the potential sets that I could see being released, and I'm going to give you my prediction of what I could see being the actual set. So let's just go ahead and start with my first choice or my first idea, which would have been the Superstar Destroyer. Now, I do believe that there'll be a Superstar Destroyer coming out probably in the next 5 years, although right now we know that we have the Imperial Star Destroyer already out, and even though there's a lot of demand for a Superstar Destroyer or people demanding a remake of the older Superstar Destroyer, as this set sells for well over $1,000 new on the second market, I don't see this set coming out the same time as the Imperial Star Destroyer. I would expect maybe a year gap between when the Imperial Star Destroyer retires and this one coming out. And obviously, the Millennium Falcon hasn't retired yet either, so it'd be hard to predict when the actual Imperial Star Destroyer would be retiring. Therefore, we can't really predict when the Superstar Destroyer would be released, but I don't see this one coming in fall 2021, even though this one is probably one of the largest demands out of any of them. So next up, the Lego Ghost, and this is from Star Wars Rebels. Now, I do think this could possibly be a contender, although the Rebels show is still going on, and I think it's going to be sort of like the Clone Wars. When the show is airing, I think a lot of people that watch it aren't necessarily Star Wars fans. It's a lot younger audience. But then after the show kind of ends or toward the end of the show, people that are into Star Wars and not necessarily into the TV show start watching it because I've heard great reviews from it. And I heard it's a good show. And I did that with the Clone Wars. I watched it when season 7, the entire series when season 7 was coming out. And I didn't really follow it that much when it was actually being released on Cartoon Network. So I could see myself doing the same thing for Rebels. And I just don't see the Ghost coming out so soon in 2021 when the show's still going on. In my opinion, it hasn't hit the peak popularity. And this is the same thing. The reason why I'm predicting that this set could be a UCS set or there is demand from it, that old Ghost set, man, it goes for like $400 new. And that's a lot smaller scale. I think even on a smaller scale, it doesn't look too good. So I think if it was a larger scale set, maybe even closer to that 4,000, 5,000 piece range, I think it could look really awesome. And I see Rebels really picking up and being sort of that second Clone Wars type of fanfare. So next up, the Lego AT-AT. Now, they're going to make a UCS AT-AT at some point. I can't believe they haven't yet. But you have to remember, too, to make this a play set, the set does have to be over $100. So it doesn't really fit well it's never fit well for a $200 UCS set. So this one's going to have to go a lot bigger. Now, I did think this was possible for 2021, but then thinking about it, we just got the release of the 2020 AT-AT, which retails for $160 this summer. And that's still going to be on shelves next fall, at least in my opinion, or at the very least, very close, still being out, but not necessarily, it'd be toward the end of its life run. I just can't see them having two AT-ATs so close back to back. They usually give it some gap, even if it's just a couple of months. I do see this as a 2022 contender, maybe a 2023 contender, but I do not see this being a 2021 contender just by the sole fact of, hey, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to be able to turn an audience from this $160 AT-AT, which looks really good, to maybe a $500 one. I get it, it's two different markets, but let's be honest, Lego usually waits at least a wave in between the sets, unless it's an X-Wing or Y-Wing, if you guys know what I mean. Okay, so next up, let's talk about the Imperial Shuttle. And this one was actually rumored in 2020, as you guys know. And this one, I don't see coming out either, because there's going to be that new Imperial Shuttle coming out in 2021 just for a play set, so it would be kind of weird that a UCS set too. Not that they haven't done it, I just would be surprised if they did it. This is also one of those UCS sets where I think it's more of a $250, $300 range, and I think they'd be all right with releasing like a $200 or $250 one on May the 4th one of the years instead of releasing maybe a 5,000 piece Imperial Shuttle. Because even if you look at the other one, I believe it's around 2,500 pieces or so, the older one. And that's, in my opinion, that's a huge scale for that. It looks absolutely great, but it uses a lot of Technic, a lot of large pieces, and therefore I just can't see them selling an Imperial shuttle for like $500. It would just be so massive, but you never know. You never know. It's always possible. They can definitely sneak smaller pieces in there. We saw that with the Millennium Falcon, willing to add a little bit of bigger interior, a little bit more detail. Boom, there's an extra 2,000 pieces. So it is certainly possible. Next up, the Lego Venator, and this one sort of falls in the Superstar Destroyer line. This set obviously has a huge demand. I don't think it falls great under that large-scale UCS set category, though. I do see this as possibly becoming a play set right around that $150, $160 range, which they usually slot in for some of the Lego Star Wars set waves, usually like in the summer or so. So I see it fitting more so in that, making it more of a play set than a display piece, somewhat like the old one. I think it actually works better almost as a display set because the big draw for this one obviously could be some Clone Wars minifigures that we've been looking for a long time. And the same thing goes with this one. I don't see this set coming out in a UCS form when the Imperial Shuttle is already out in a UCS form. They're just too similar for people that aren't really into the show and are just walking past a Lego store and see the resemblance. All right, the Lego Nebulon B Frigate. Obviously, San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, just released for this, so I really don't see them making this. This set, in my opinion, would have to be probably more than $200 to make sense, although they could do it with $200 set too. So I just don't see them making this a $500 set. There's just definitely not enough passion from the Lego community for this ship in order to be able to sell this set for $500. Pretty quick and simple with that one. So let me get to my actual prediction of what I think is going to be the UCS set in 2021, and I'll give you some of the reasons why I think so. I think we're going to be getting a UCS Death Star, and here's why. So we had the 2005 Death Star 2, the UCS one, that released in 2005. Now the set retired, or said it was going to retire on the Lego website around 2007 or so. This set was on sale in 2009, though. It definitely didn't sell too well. And we had the other playset UCS, not UCS, but the playset Death Star come out in 2008, the first one. And that was available for 7 years. So there was even 2 Death Stars available at once, although it was retiring. Like I said, it just didn't sell well. So we had the first playset Death Star set from 2008 to 2015. All right, we take not even a year break, and then we get the next Death Star, just a remake of the other playset Death Star. We got that one from 2016 to 2020. Okay, so we've had a Death Star out for the last 15 years, 14 of the last 15 years. Now, obviously, I think it was a little strange that this one retired so quickly after 4 years. Obviously, that's a pretty normal, actually a long timeline for most sets. But go ahead and take out the other one. The other one sold for 7 years. It was selling so well, they released a remake because obviously the minifigures were getting outdated and some of the colors were too. They made a remake, only had it out for 4 years. Now, in my personal opinion, that seems a little bit odd because I know this set is probably still selling pretty well. At least in my opinion, it's definitely a cool set. A little bit more expensive at the $500 range now, but certainly a cool set. There's always been a demand for a Death Star. So Death Star can't be a $200 set either. It just can't. There's no way you can make a Death Star with around 2,000 to 2,500 pieces. It just won't look complete. So this is why I think that 2021 in fall, we're going to get a $500, maybe even more expensive Death Star. Now, I'm not exactly sure what they're going to give us. Obviously, they could give us the complete paneled one, which I'm not a fan of. I think that's just going to look like a giant ball. And that one maybe even could be in the $200 price range. I think it'd be a really boring build. In my opinion, it just wouldn't look that cool on a shelf. I think the really intriguing part about the old Death Star, for me at least, was that they went with the Death Star 2 being built. It just looks so cool and intricate with all those greebling on the side. And even if you want to display it as if it was paneled, you just turn it a little bit and it looks like it's the Death Star, or at least paneled, or there's some design purposes to it that still look good on the other side. Now, something I could see them do is kind of have the option. Obviously, I don't think it'd be too many more pieces to be able to cover up maybe some of the greebling, the being built process. You could probably cover it up pretty easily. So something I think would be really cool is that if they gave you the option or gave you the pieces to actually be able to cover up to make the full panel Death Star, or keep it all greebled out like they had before. So I think with the fact that we've had a Death Star out for the last 14 to 15 years. The first playset was available for 7 years. This one was only available for 4. And like I said, I don't think it's because it hasn't been selling well. I'm pretty sure it's even been out of stock around with all the crazy COVID stuff. And as you've seen, the really popular sets really have been the ones that are back ordered out of stock. So, I mean, it's already been available for 4 years too. It's not like the 501st Battle Pack or anything like that. So I really see this set coming out next year as a UCS set around $500 to $600. If it does come out, you guys can go back to this video and say I predicted it. I know other people are saying it too, but I think this would be an awesome addition to the UCS series. And I really hope, like I said, I don't want it to be a full paneled one. But if you do want it to be a full panel one, I'm hoping that they have some option that you can make it full paneled. But for these reasons, I think the Death Star's got to be coming out next fall. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments and what you guys hope to see. This is Brick Duo signing out. Thanks, guys.